Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tom Baker Show. It is great to be back with you for another episode. It has been a very, very topsy-turvy, up and down, busy week in the motorsports world, and we're here for all of it, particularly on the national scene. This show being brought to you by Radical Race Gear. If you want to be a champion, you should look like a champion, and Radical Race Gear can help you do just that. Whether you're looking for a customized driver's suit or custom sublimated crew shirts or a customized pop-up tent, a carpet for your trailer, they have got just about everything you'd want, communications, all of it. Driver gear, radicalracegear.com is the place to go. And we welcome for this show back Jacob Seelman, the Motorsports Insider and from Raceface Digital, of course. Well-known Motorsports Insider, cover of all things racing from NASCAR to short tracks. Jacob, it is good to have you back. And boy, I'll tell you what, NASCAR, if they're wanting to make it impossible for us not to talk about them, they're doing a great job this week.
Well, cans of worms have been opened, and I don't like it. I was worried that we were going to get to this point ever since we had the moment where the judge said, if you guys really want to burn this house down with everybody inside it, for lack of a better way to put it, I'll be only so happy to provide the candles if that's what you really want. And that's pretty much where we're at this point. I'm just going to get right down to it. The fact that the temporary restraining order that 2311 and Front Row requested, while the latest, this is preliminary injunction number 3, by the way, has been put in and is waiting to be ruled on, the fact that we're now talking about temporary restraining orders getting denied, and we are officially to the point where 2311 and Front Row are going to race as open teams, at least for Dover and Indianapolis, while all this is being mulled over in the court again. All I got to say is, oh boy, because we have reached the threshold of oh boy. And I've said from the beginning this was going to get ugly. Hello, ugly.
Well,
that's my opening 2 cents. We have reached hello, ugly.
I mean, you're right. I can't deny anything you've said. I think I think the word messy is really the word that I come up with here. It is just messy now.
I've got another word, but it's not for use on a family-friendly show.
That's correct. But I'm not surprised by any of this, Jacob, because
I didn't say I was surprised.
In a back-and-forth legal battle, this feels just like ping pong. This is what we do. We keep going back and forth. We injunction, the other guy comes back, and then we injunction, the other guy comes back, we injunction. It's just ping pong, and until we get to the trial. And I feel like that's where we're at. Now, here's what's interesting. I will read the statement, and this is courtesy of Bob Pockris, but it's the statement from 2311 and Front Row Motorsports attorney Jeffrey Kessler on the denial of the restraining order, which just happened today, by the way, as we record this show, meaning that, as you said, the 2 teams will run as open teams for Dover and Indy. Here's what this is. It says, we are disappointed that the court declined to grant 2311 and Front Row Motorsports a temporary restraining order to allow the teams to continue racing as chartered teams. We remain confident that our motion for a preliminary injunction is legally warranted and necessary, and we look forward to the court's full review. So again, for those watching, the injunction that was filed just a few days ago has not been ruled on yet. And in the meantime, what happened was NASCAR's approval that they got from the court a week or 2 ago went into effect. So that means that the charters go away for at least 2 weeks until the court can rule on this injunction. And now I'll read the rest of the statement. The court made it clear it is only denying the temporary restraining order because NASCAR has agreed to preserve our charters until the preliminary injunction can be decided upon, and because we are assured of qualifying all of our cars for the next 2 weeks. In other words, there's no chance that one of them won't make the field, so that there will be no irreparable harm before the preliminary injunction can be fully briefed and ruled upon. We made the decision to bring this lawsuit to challenge NASCAR's monopolistic practices and bullying tactics, and we are not going to let them push our teams or others out of the sport that they love. We are confident in the merits of our case, and the teams remain focused on competing this weekend and continuing their playoff push. So, what happened essentially was the teams filed to stop NASCAR from pulling their charters, and the court said, well, but since NASCAR agreed not to actually sell them or do anything with them until we can rule on the injunction, we're going to let them pull them, so you're going to have to run open for a week or two until we can figure this injunction thing out. So this feels like it's kind of, do you see this as, this doesn't feel like anybody really won anything. This just feels like sort of, NASCAR got to take the charter benefits away for 2 weeks, but we still don't know any more than we knew, and sort of the back and forth ping pong continues, and this starts to look like NASCAR, in fact, is trying to be the monopolistic bully that the teams are accusing them of being. Does it not?
Well, yes, but I'll also add that there are some merits to the NASCAR response, which came earlier today before the ruling of on the temporary restraining order, where they reiterated, as Judge Niemeyer said at the previous oral argument, plaintiffs, i.e. 2311 and FRM, asked to have their cake and eat it too, meaning we don't want to sign the charter agreement, but yet we still want to be chartered teams while all this is going on. And I may not... My opinion of everything inside the lawsuit notwithstanding, I get that argument where you if you want to argue this in court, great. But if you didn't sign the charter agreements, that shouldn't mean that you get the benefits of chartered teams while you're going through this process, because you elected not to sign the agreement basically over, well, not quite a year ago now, 11 months ago now, while all this was getting started, because you didn't like the terms that you were being asked to sign to. So again, this is going to get messier. It's going to get uglier. You're right. Nobody won anything yet, but I'm going to say this. If this continues to fall, at least right now, it's falling a little bit in NASCAR's direction. What's going to really get uglier is if the unwinding of the sale of what were the SHR charters has to happen before the December trial date. Then this gets really, really messy if NASCAR starts to starts thinking they can move charters around before the final phase of the trial in December. Imagine if 2311 and FRM go to trial in December, the charters have been moved and distributed elsewhere, and then they end up winning this whole antitrust lawsuit as a whole, as the whole big picture. You want to talk about a legal disastrous mess? That's the ultimate worst case scenario in this, is if where we're at right now, NASCAR if NASCAR gets the ruling that they want for the third preliminary injunction, which would be that the charters are not 2311 and FRMs, and that NASCAR can do what they want with them, and NASCAR starts trying to distribute them elsewhere, and then we get to December and NASCAR loses the lawsuit. Oh boy.
See, this is why
I can't even picture how bad that would be.
This is why I don't think you can let that happen. I disagree with your point of view on this in one respect. First of all, I do believe that if teams want to challenge something They shouldn't have to give up something in order to challenge it. This idea that NASCAR, first of all, they didn't ask the teams to sign the charter. They basically pretty much aggressively told them that you have until this time to sign or you lose it. That's it. They gave them no time to look at what they were being asked to sign, and to put a stipulation into the charter that says that you cannot challenge NASCAR on anything in this charter, or sue NASCAR for anything, basically in and of itself, to me, is some form of monopolistic behavior. And I don't want to say that it legally may approach restraint of trade, because I don't know all of the legality of all of this, and I want to be careful with my words here, but I will just say that I feel like to say to the teams that if this whole trying to have your cake and eat it too, I don't believe that's the case. I think that legally you should have the right to challenge this and still be a chartered team, because you're still part of the show, part of the entertainment. You're working for NASCAR. You're paying NASCAR for cars and parts and whatever all else NASCAR gets out of them. So I don't see this exactly the same way you do. I think that it's only right that you allow the teams to work through the process, and I think it needs to go to trial and be tried. And at that point,
I agree with that part. It absolutely, we need. As much as some people may not like me saying this, we need to go to December and have this happen, even if that means blowing up the system and starting over again, because where we're at right now is bad. It's not sustainable, and it's going to push people away from the sport, period. End of discussion on that moment.
Yeah, so just to transition now, because that's where we are with regard to the tracks, or NASCAR versus 2311, okay? But
and then there was lawsuit B.
Yes, lawsuit number 2, but wait, there's more.
We've actually lawsuit number 2 that has spawned lawsuit number 3.
Well, you're right, pretty much. We've had this ongoing battle between Rick Ware Racing and Legacy Motor Club, because supposedly Legacy signed a contract to buy a charter from Rick Ware Racing. Now, again, what the irony is that this one also involves the charter system that NASCAR has allowed to be these charters to be leased and sold, and it's just created nothing but confusion. So the confusion is that according to Rick Ware Racing, the number on the charter that Legacy supposedly agreed to buy, or that they agreed to sell to Legacy, is not the same number as the number that Legacy thinks that they're supposed to be buying. And so there's now confusion over whether that sale should be forced to go through or not. And in the meantime, Rick Ware Racing has a new owner, and apparently the new owner is making noise about selling charters or wanting to not sell charters. And so you have this other layer of potential interference with the case that's going on. Jacob, can you sort this all out for us somehow?
Well, I'll put it like this. TJ Pucker is either brilliant or severely misguided, and I'm not quite sure which end of the spectrum.
Or both? Brilliantly misguided?
Well, that too. So and really where I'm confused in the whole thing is, okay, you're trying to, you start as trying to broker the sale of a Rick Ware Racing charter to Legacy Motor Club, and then you're turning around and trying to buy Rick Ware Racing, which originally you were trying to get to sell a charter to Legacy Motor Club. How this makes any sense, I don't know.
Well, we should explain to the audience. We should explain to the audience, Jacob, the missing piece here is that Pucker was a part of Spire Motorsports, and as part of his duties at Spire, he negotiated that sale from Rick Ware Racing to Legacy Motor Club.
Legacy.
And now all of a sudden
he turns around, leaves Spire so that he can buy Rick Ware Racing. And yeah, it creates about 8 million knot twists in this that I have no idea how you untangle. And I don't blame Legacy for being irritated and turning around and suing TJ Parker, because again, how can you broker a sale, then leave what you brokered to buy the other end of what you brokered? It makes no sense.
Well, and this is where the problem with this whole thing for me, and you know, the NASCAR lawsuit, the Legacy law, the problem with all of this is it's overshadowing everything else in the sport, which is what we all predicted would happen. Yes. If it went on this long, it would eventually, and so none of this is good for NASCAR. It makes their brand look terrible.
It's all terrible.
And so I don't understand NASCAR wanting to be the hard, bully in all of this, but that's the position they've taken. So it's going to be interesting to see where all of this goes, because we don't have any idea how this whole Legacy thing is going to get resolved, because there's basically two charters.
That's as much of a mess as the 2311 FRM versus NASCAR lawsuit, just in a different way.
It's nuts. Okay. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we've got more. We're going to talk about Sonoma and SVG, and I'm going to ask Jacob the question, why in the world is everyone so shocked at his dominance on road courses? We'll be right back.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the show, and Jacob Seelman is with us again from Raceface Digital. Jacob, we had another road course race at Sonoma, and SVG, Shane van Gisbergen, picked up another road course win. That would be 3 so far.
In 5 weeks, by the way.
In 5 weeks, and I've been amazed at the number of racing media that have lost their minds over this. Oh, he may be the greatest road racer in the history of NASCAR. We can't believe he won 3 in a row. Who else has ever come in and dominated road courses like Shane van Gisbergen has? And I just sit back, scratch my head, and go, the guy's a 3-time Supercars champion and has won at Bathurst, once, twice? Like, this guy is 30-something years old. He was a pro when he came into NASCAR, and I don't know why anyone's acting surprised that he is so much better on road courses than a lot of the NASCAR folks who haven't had all that years of experience on road courses. I think this doesn't surprise me at all, and I think the only one that's going to stop him, honestly, is his younger counterpart, Connor Zilisch, when he comes to Cup next year. who else in Cup is going to beat Shane van Gisbergen, unless he breaks, in a road course race this year? Who?
Again, unless he breaks, the challenge is nobody. I don't think. Shane, to me right now, is the pick to win every road course race left on the schedule. Although Watkins Glen may be closer than people think. See what happened last year with Chris Buescher, in case people have forgotten. But I want to ask you the question in response. Okay, what racing media have you been looking at that's acted like, oh my gosh, we didn't think this was going to happen? Because everybody I've talked to over the past couple of weeks expected this to happen. I expected this to happen. This is not some secret sauce. What in the world were we thinking when SVG came in deal, like maybe it was in 2023 when half of the NASCAR world who hadn't paid attention to supercars, like, you and I are excluded from that because, of course, we loved supercars racing and knew exactly what Shane was coming in with. Yeah. But, 2023, I give people a pass because most of NASCAR didn't pay attention to that world to understand who Shane van Gisbergen was. But now, anybody that acts surprised, I just look at them and go, have you not been paying attention for the last 2 years? Like, seriously? Come on now. No, this was 100% expected. I think the only maybe surprise was the fact that it was closer than closer than the races in Chicago and Mexico City. But I think that was in large part because a lot of your Cup Series regulars who have done this for many years are more familiar with Sonoma and what we'll see in a couple weeks at Watkins Glen, because those are road courses that we've been going to continuously for a very, very long time, unlike Chicago, which only has a couple-year history, and of course Mexico City being an inaugural event. When you've grown up road course racing on a professional, prestigious level your entire life, that natural talent and that natural ability from having been in that scene for years, like SVG had in supercars, is naturally going to carry you when it's a course that people are less familiar with. I think the reason we saw it be closer at Sonoma was because other people have much more experience at Sonoma, but still, SVG has so much natural talent on road courses and so much experience on how to drive road courses in general that the end result was the end result, and it is what it was. And no, I'm not surprised. Like I said, anybody acting surprised, I just kind of look at them like they have three heads. Again, what the heck have you been watching the last 2 years? And to be quite frank, I'm honestly a little bit glad that it's ended up the way it has, because I think if you're Shane van Gisbergen, you came in basically like a shark sniffing blood because you knew you had to get to multiple wins if you wanted to guarantee yourself in the playoffs, knowing that there is still the potential for there to be more than 16 winners before we get to the postseason. So now he has 3. They can't knock him out. In fact, he's 3rd on the playoff seeding right now, which is pretty remarkable and opens up a whole different conversation of, okay, if he wins Watkins Glen and can stack up a decent number of playoff points going into round 1 and round 2, boy, we could be having a whole different conversation about Shane van Gisbergen making a deep playoff run just because he has enough of a buffer to be able to do it. I will add, though, he's getting better on the ovals, and I wish people would stop glossing over that fact. His first 8 oval races in the Cup Series, his average finish was 30th. His last 8 ovals, getting set for Dover, his average finish on ovals in the last 8, 22nd. He's improved 8 spots in a field that is made up of the best stock car racers in North America on a weekly basis. That is not easy to do in any universe. That is not easy to do. So Shane is making progress, but no, as far as the road course dominance, expected, non-story. Let's move on.
I agree 100%. Like, I am just shocked that anybody didn't think that he was, because here's the thing. He it's not even just the experience, his skill set. He uses the brake pedal like no one in NASCAR has ever used it before. And that's his big advantage.
Why, by the way, that's why Trackhouse has denied the TV networks from allowing, a lot of the TV networks like to have the foot cam in somebody's car. And Trackhouse has denied, Trackhouse will not let them do that for SVG because they're afraid of everybody figuring out what SVG does. I'll tell you something. Those are habits picked up and learned from driving the courses that you have to drive and the style of cars you have to drive in supercars. Anybody that has driven in NASCAR for an extended length of time, it would take basically completely unlearning your entire road course habits and skill set and relearning a completely different way of doing things in order to replicate what SVG's doing. You're not just going to be able to watch it go, oh, I can do that, and then do it. It doesn't work like that. It's a completely different muscle memory for him compared to what the NASCAR guys are taught, because road course racing is not the preeminent form in this country the way it is in Australia.
I agree. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes down here, because between now and the end of the year, we've still got Watkins Glen. You've got a couple of, you got the Roval and
Watkins Glen and the Roval is what's left here.
Yeah, and so he's got a chance to win 5 road course races, and that would put him in a position to make a deep playoff run. I don't know that he gets to the championship, but I can see him getting at least to the 8. Okay.
Well, I was going to say, I'll just say that if he wins those 2, the point buffer to potentially get to the championship 4 is not unthinkable.
Not unthinkable. I think you think more of his oval track improvement than I do at this point. I'm still waiting for him to get out of the 20s, but you're right. He's getting slightly better, and it might be just enough, perhaps, depending on what happens. Okay, we got to get one more break in here. When we come back, Marcus Smith is talking about a roof over Bristol. We discuss when we come back.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the show. And Marcus Smith says it is his dream. Now, he said this on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast. Says it is his dream to put a roof over Bristol Motor Speedway. And he says it could be done, Jacob Seelman. My question to you is, what?
Glad this is television, so I can react like this, and it's actually visible.
I mean, a roof over Bristol Motor Speedway. What is this man thinking? I mean,
Well,
he's,
okay, Colonel Mustard. Let's back up here because it was not you in the parlor with the lamp. In this game of Motorsports Clue, it was Marcus Smith with a roof at Bristol Motor Speedway. Like that's not gonna work. I don't care if it's retractable like the Seattle Seahawks Stadium. No. The fumes, even with a partial roof, would be so much that they would make the Chili Bowl flu that those of us in the dirt world talk about every January look like the common cold. Now, really? Are we even thinking with our brains here?
well, I mean, Marcus is a smart man, and he said multiple times in that rant that it could be done. And his argument is, baseball, football, he mentioned 2-3 other things, maybe like WrestleMania, like all this. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, but you still got to run races here. And the same thing you just said, even a retractable roof still traps fumes. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, a retractable or a partial roof. No, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry, Marcus. It's stupid. It would never work. You're not thinking about the amount of fumes, the amount of toxicity that exists from 36 or 40 stock cars spewing exhaust into the air in even a semi-enclosed space for 3.5 hours, let alone an enclosed space. We don't need a caution every 5 laps because we've got fans dropping over in the grandstands because they can't hardly breathe.
Well, but the other thing to consider is that would, to me, even amplify the noise effect even more.
Thank you.
Because it would just get trapped.
And people talk all the time about how the decibel range for the next gen cars is so much higher and so much more piercing than even what the Gen 6 cars were. No, you want to trap that noise and make people go deaf to while you're at it, like.
I
heard that, and I wanted to. It's expensive, so I didn't. But I heard that. I picked up my remote and threw it at my TV. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
No.
Marcus has been trying some different product, I think, lately. The Bristol Dome is just not realistic. I admit, I'm curious to hear and see how he thinks that could be done, but I just don't see why. I just thought it was.
I was going to say, I would have to not only see it on paper, but I would have to see the science behind it before I could even begin to consider that might be realistic.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about.
That's what we call a pipe dream.
Yes,
ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe literally a pipe dream. Emphasis on the word pipe. Okay, 2026 schedule. Kelly Crandall of Racer.com says San Diego is a done deal for 2026, and rumors, this is not from her, but rumors are heating up about a potential return to Chicagoland Speedway, which would seem to mean that maybe NASCAR doesn't go back to the Chicago street course. Maybe they go to San Diego but race in Chicagoland to keep a race in Chicago. This is really kind of all a bit confusing here. There's still Mexico City hanging out there. Do you believe, first of all, quickly, San Diego is done for 2026? And if so, do you support this?
Two things. Number one, yes, I believe it's done because where there's smoke, there's fire. And the smoke came more than a month ago now when Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic said that a deal was being worked on to bring street racing to San Diego. I do support this because going back to what we talked about the last time I was on this show, I'm a proponent of being able to bring the sport to markets where we wouldn't have a permanent racetrack to be able to go to. San Diego's a huge market, both business-wise and for the sport from a TV and a fan perspective. And I stand by what I said a few weeks ago. We only need to have one street race on the schedule every year. Otherwise, it diminishes the prestige, the uniqueness, the importance of whatever venue we go to for that street race. I think Chicago was great. I think it's time to try something new. I think San Diego is a great opportunity to get back into the Southern California market. So, yes, proponent of this, especially if they bring it to Coronado. That's a beautiful area by the naval base. Sign me up for that.
Well, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of street course racing to begin with, but I would be okay with one. My problem is I think we've now got too many road and street courses. And so my thought is you keep Sonoma, obviously you keep Watkins Glen. If you want to keep Coda, fine, but I'm not married to it. Get rid of the Roval, go back to the Charlotte Oval for both races. And if we're going to run a street course race, then that race takes the place of the Roval. So you've got basically 3 road course races and the Roval and that, the street course.
So you wouldn't go back to internationally then if we had the opportunity to go back to Mexico City or Gilles Villeneuve in Canada?
I would rotate it. I would go back. I would do Mexico City. I would do Canada, but not both. So the international race would be sort of the exception to the. But I just think we're getting to the point where we're overemphasizing the left turn, right turn thing. I don't think we need
argument
to
to that is even this year you still have 30 out of 36 races on ovals. That's 84% of your schedule. The fact is we can afford to run a few road races a year. I know it seems like it's way too much because one guy keeps winning them right now, but regardless, when we're quibbling over 16% of the schedule, when 84% of the schedule is still on the form of racing that this country is founded on, I don't see what the problem is.
Well, but again, I'm not saying that you don't do what you're doing. I am saying rotate the street courses. Okay. Right. I'm only saying I think we're at the point where we've got enough.
I was responding to your argument of too much.
I think it is too much. But I certainly wouldn't advocate any more. If we're going to keep 6, and that's it. And that includes road, street, and international. Divide them up however you want to, but there's only 6 left and right races. That's it. And then
I agree with.
Choose what you want, because that's been IndyCar's problem forever, is they're way too left turn right now. And it's getting to the point where it's very kind of homogenized, and it's not great racing. And now Cup, I don't care, by the way. Go ahead.
I was going to say IndyCar's problem is they can't find enough oval tracks to be able to take the series to these days.
Well, they can. They just don't want to. I mean, they don't want to run high-speed ovals, so, that disqualifies most of the ovals they could run at. So you go to Iowa, you go to Gateway, you go to Phoenix or whatever. I don't know. That's a whole other argument for another show. But I think in NASCAR's case, and by the way, I don't care who's winning the road course race. I mean, the fact that SVG is dominating that's just how it is. I just think that 6 is about too many, but it's certainly, I don't want to see any more. I don't want to see any more of the schedule, because we also, 36 races, a lot of races. And
it is. I've also been an advocate for shortening the schedule. I've been an advocate of shortening the schedule for years. And by the way, if there's one road course I'm not married to, it's the Roval, 10,000%. I would not be sorry if we got rid of that next year and never saw it again.
Well, but, I mean, I don't want to be too animostic, or I don't want to be. I don't hate the Roval. I think it's run its course. No pun intended.
Now that was funny and completely unintentional.
That's correct.
Now I think the difference between the Charlotte Roval and what we see with the Daytona road course is that the Daytona road course has space on the banking to where you can have the higher speed sections and you have the ability to slingshot, make passes.
Yeah.
The Charlotte Roval, it's just too condensed to make for good racing on the banking. And even with the adjustment to a few of the technical passing zones, I still didn't think this past year was tremendous racing.
No, definitely not. I think the first year was the best. And then since then, I think it's just sort of steadily
And what do we
declined.
remember? The last 500 feet when Jimmy Johnson and Martin Truex took each other out and Ryan Blaney won the race.
Well, that's true. But the first year was the best because
a good finish does not a good racetrack make. And like I think where you were going with that is the first year was the best because nobody knew what they were getting into.
That's correct. Nobody knew what they were doing. You know, it was, who was it? Kozlowski that basically led the troops off the cliff. You know,
I think it was either Kozlowski or Chase. It was Kozlowski. Yeah.
It was Kozlowski on the restart. It was just
and then Chase Elliott the next year and came back to win the race even after jumping off the cliff.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's what. Yeah, I agree. I would be okay with the Roval going away. I think the races on the 1.5 miles right now are good with these cars. It's the only, to me, racing with the current Cup cars that's really great. So I would definitely go back, and I would advocate going back to Chicagoland and being done with the street course there as well, because I think, honestly, NASCAR is at a point where I know what they're trying to do. They want this international market. They want to, broaden their horizons or whatever. I understand the mindset that wants that, but I think they just got to remember that all the teams are based in the U.S. There are no teams based anywhere else but the U.S. And so, to me, when you start trying to go too far, Canada and Mexico are fine.
IndyCar got away from international racing as well.
Exactly. And every time they talk about it, you hear the team owners kind of like, well, why don't you fix the product here first?
Thank you.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I would say the same for NASCAR. Fix the short track product, fix the racing, get all this charter mess, get all of it settled, start working better with the teams like every other sport does, and stop trying to be monopolistic bullies, because that to me feels like exactly what this is at this point in NASCAR. That's why I understand the lawsuit. Whether it comes up to the level to be considered, unfair trade or restrained trade or whatever, legally is a different matter. I do feel like NASCAR is being way too heavy-handed with the teams, and I think it's taking the sport in a direction away from being a fan-first sport, and it's killing the racing, and that's driving a lot of the fans out. And so I think
I've seen that sentiment on social media all week.
Yeah. So it's just, how do you fix it? That's the key here. So okay.
You get it out of the courts first.
Well, that's why I'm saying that I hope this does go to trial, because I think we will all learn something about the legal process on unfair trade from this. So I would like to see this actually go to trial. Okay, Jacob Seelman, thank you so much, Raceface Digital, for being here, and we'll have you back on again soon, and that will wrap up this episode of the Tom Baker Show. It's been a lively one and a fun one, so much going on. Look, get out and get to a racetrack. Bring your family, bring some kids, and introduce them to the sport we all love. For more exclusive content, steeringwheelnation.com, @TheWheelNation on Facebook and Instagram. You can join me directly at Tom Baker TV on Instagram and also on LinkedIn as well. And don't forget, we have a 24/7 streaming platform right on the PowerTube TV channel. So check us out there. So long, everyone.